the two sides also agreed to expedite the India-GCC FTA negotiations. They also agreed to strengthen cooperation in the FinTech field and also explore trading in the local currencies. I'm happy to share with you that during this visit, as many as 8 agreements have been signed. Another important element was that the two sides also agreed to expedite the India-GCC FTA negotiations, which they felt would act as a catalyst for further strengthening our economic cooperation between the two sides. They also agreed to strengthen cooperation in the FinTech field and also explore trading in the local currencies. This was discussed. The two leaders expressed their satisfaction at the volume of trade, the trade level with both countries have reached. India being the second largest trading partner of Saudi Arabia, and Saudi being the fourth largest trading partner of India. Again, the Prime Minister also laid emphasis on certain sectors, and he mentioned certain sectors for cooperation. So he mentioned critical minerals as one area. Food security is another area which was mentioned, especially it is of Saudi interest, creation of food parks and other things. Since we have a very good startup ecosystem in India, Prime Minister emphasized on the need for setting up a startup bridge between India and Saudi Arabia. On the education and education field, the Prime Minister, in the light of the new education policy, emphasized on the need for strengthening cooperation in this sector, particularly in the student exchange program and university to university and institution to institution level collaborations. And he also suggested, our Prime Minister suggested that a joint working group on education and skill development could be set up to kind of explore this. Also in the context of culture and people to people, the cooperation in the field of film making also came up. So both sides agreed that this is another area where we can work together. I'm happy to share with you that during this visit, as many as 8 agreements have been signed. And the important ones, or I'll just read out to you, is Agreement 1 is the field of energy, which was signed by the Saudi Minister of Energy and our Minister of New and Renewable Energy. Then there was an agreement between the agreement in the field of digitalization and electronic manufacturing between the IT ministries of both sides. There was one agreement between the CVC of India and its counterpart, the Saudi Oversight and Anti-Corruption Authority. And the fourth agreement was between the National Archives. Then there was an agreement between the two investment entities, that is the Invest India on the Indian side and the Ministry of Investment on Saudi side. There was another agreement between the two Exim banks. There was also another agreement between the small and medium enterprises banks of two sides, that is SIDBI and the SME Bank of Saudi Arabia. And the last one was in the field of desalination. In addition to these, there are several other agreements which are under various stages of discussion. The prominent one is the one on grid connectivity, which is in the advanced stages of discussion. We are also separately discussing with the Saudi side a visa waiver agreement for diplomatic passports, which is not yet ready, but we hope that it would be ready soon. So these were some of the main points which had come up for discussions during this. The strategic partnership meeting took place in a very amicable and cordial manner, where the two leaders recognized the efforts made by the respective ministers. You know that it had two verticals, two headed by the foreign ministers and the other one headed by our Commerce and Industry Minister and the Saudi Minister of Energy, and the other SOMs and other joint working groups. They agreed to have the meeting at regular frequency. The next one would be in Riyadh, hopefully next year. So this is in sum the parameters and contours on which the discussions have taken place. And the two sides have worked out a joint statement which will be released soon, and you will be able to access it later in the evening after the end of the visit. So these have been the outcomes. The minutes of the the first leaders summit were also signed by the two leaders, our Prime Minister and the Crown Prince. And these are the minutes of encompassing all the discussions which had taken place and the sums of this. So that was also one of the things which was done.